Gobble Gobble, a Thanksgiving Day horror. The Harmon family had heard the tales, of course, those little whispers that float on the wind, meant to scare children and entertain adults around crackling fires. But as the sun dipped below the horizon on Thanksgiving Day, those tales began to claw at the edges of their reality, taking on a flesh and blood presence that was as undeniable as horrifying. Willow Creek had always been the picturesque haven of peace and community, a perfect slice of Americana, where every door bore a wreath, and every smile held the promise of friendship. So, when the Harmons moved into the old Henderson place at the town's leaf-strewn edge, they expected nothing less than hearty welcomes and warm embraces. Their first Thanksgiving in Willow Creek was supposed to celebrate new beginnings, and they had spared no expense. The turkey, a plump golden-brown masterpiece, was the feast's pièce de résistance, lovingly prepared by Linda Harmon, who had always taken pride in her culinary prowess. Her husband, David, and their two children, Max and Ella, busied themselves with decorations, adorning the house with all the festive accoutrements of the season. But as the day progressed, a palpable change descended upon Willow Creek. A silence crept through the streets, as thick and invasive as the mist that rolled in from the surrounding woods. It was as if the town was holding its breath, waiting for a signal only it could understand. The Harmons, too preoccupied with their preparations, barely noticed the quiet that had settled over their new home, or the fact that their neighbors' houses remained dark, the usual smells of roasting meat and cinnamon conspicuously absent. The first shiver of unease trickled down Linda's spine when the town's clock tower began to chime, the sonorous tolls marking the noon hour. She paused, her baster hovering over the turkey as a distant sound met her ears, a guttural gobbler's call that seemed to resonate with an unnatural timbre. Outside, the townspeople emerged from their homes, but not with the cheer and good tidings one might expect. Their steps were deliberate, their postures rigid, and their eyes, those eyes gleamed with an otherworldly hunger that twisted their human features into something grotesque. The Harmons' doorbell rang, and with a mother's instinctive fear, Linda rushed to the front window, peering out through the lace curtains. The sight that met her eyes stole the warmth from her veins. Their neighbors stood on the porch, but they were changed. Their skin bore a pallor like death, their mouths gaping with a ravenous desire. And they were not alone. From the corners of her eyes, Linda saw more figures emerging from the woods, their movements jerky and animalistic. Sensing something amiss, David joined his wife at the window, a sense of dread enveloping him. "What's happening, Linda?" he whispered, afraid to break the spell of horror that seemed to hang over the world outside. Before Linda could answer, a cacophony erupted as the neighbors threw themselves against the door, their howls a symphony of the damned, demanding entry, demanding flesh. The wood splintered, the decorative wreath fell, and the Harmons knew terror as they had never known it before. Max and Ella screamed in the chaos, clinging to their parents as the creatures that were once their friends and confidants burst into the house. Linda's mind raced. The turkey! In a moment of surreal clarity, she realized that the turkey was the only thing standing between her family and the gnashing teeth of the horde. With a strength born of desperation, she grabbed the roasting pan and flung it at the advancing monsters, the hot oil sizzling as it met their twisted flesh. For a moment, it seemed to work. They recoiled, shrieking in pain, but the reprieve was short-lived. As the Harmons fled to the back of the house, barricading themselves in the den, they could hear the invaders devouring the turkey with guttural, wet sounds. The creatures' cries grew more fervid, their hunger amplified by the taste of seasoned meat. Night fell over Willow Creek, and with it came the realization that there would be no escape. The creatures were relentless, spurred on by a curse woven into the very fabric of the town, a curse born of a time when Thanksgiving had a far more sinister significance, and the harvest was paid for in blood and fear. Hours passed and the barricades held, but the creatures outside grew more cunning as the night stretched on. They whispered promises of an end to the terror, of release from the nightmare that Thanksgiving had become, if only the Harmons would surrender. But Linda and David knew better. They had seen the truth in their neighbors' ravenous eyes. There would be no mercy, no reprieve. The curse of Willow Creek demanded a tribute, and they were it. As the first light of dawn filtered through the cracks in the boarded windows, the Harmons embraced one another, knowing that these moments were their last. The creatures outside could sense it too, their excitement building to a fever pitch. With a final thunderous crash, the door gave way, and the darkness of Willow Creek poured in, consuming everything. The next day the town awoke as if from a deep slumber. The mist had cleared, the silence lifted, and the quaint, peaceful veneer of Willow Creek returned as if it had never left. But the Harmon house stood silent, a testament to the horrors of the night before. Once the symbol of their hope and joy, the turkey lay in tatters on the dining room floor, amidst signs of a struggle that had ended as it always did, with the land claiming its due. And as Willow Creek prepared for another year, another cycle of harvest and gratitude, the whispers began again, just as they always had. Warnings not heeded, tales dismissed as folklore. But the truth lingered somewhere, in the depths of the woods or in the shadows of the town's smiling facades. The curse of Thanksgiving was real with no happy endings, just the relentless, ravenous hunger of the past, forever reaching into the present. Gobble Gobble indeed. Dare to take a plunge into the abyss of the unknown? Crave the shivers that only chilling ghost tales can provide? Then join us for an endless journey into the heart of darkness with more scary ghost stories to tell in the dark by subscribing now. We can't wait to have you with us.